Okay, guys, so welcome to another episode of Really Social Estate. Today we have very special guest. This man who is here in front of you, his name is Brendan Piper. I'm just going to read through a little bit of bio of his. You can find more information, of course, on a website about what they do in piperpropertiesgroup.com. So 31 units, 11 flips, 4 wholesales. So it is awesome. Brendan, thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So it's fun. Like it's always fun talking with real estate people, and again, like what's going on currently with the COVID, and that's a big topic right now, as we spoke before. But like first of all, can we just go through your personal experience? Like, why did you decided first of all get involved into real estate business?
You know, the book that really got me going was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so I read that book years ago, and it
Yeah.
sparked something in me. A, because it was an easy read, which I liked. Robert Kawasaki writes very simply, and it just kind of grew from there. And there was this idea in the book that that you're either making yourself money and your family money, and you're building your wealth,
Mm-hmm.
and or you're building someone else's wealth. The longer I worked for my credit card company, Heartland, which was an amazing company, and I got to,
Shout out to
build
them.
my skills, and
Yeah.
yeah, got to build my skills with that. um, the tipping point was I got my second painting, which I actually have. I just took them down. They're sitting in the corner right here. Um, but the first painting, you have to make your company $10,000 a month to get it. And then the second painting, you have to be making your company $33,000 every month. And of that $33,000, I was making seven. And it was just that snowball. And I made a tough decision to quit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was making six figures, but I saw that, and I saw I was making them $33,000 a month. And I'm like, shit, if this would have been my own gig,
Yeah.
if this would have been my own business, that
Yeah.
all would have been me, and that would have set me up for my life. So I made the tough decision,
Why do
quit.
you say that was tough? Because it was a six figures and now you transition into zero figures, right?
Yeah, so tough financially. I
Mm,
still got to keep half of my revenue. So all of the clients that I served in the credit card world,
okay.
even after I leave, which is amazing. My CEO was amazing. I'm still getting
That is
paid
awesome.
four
That is
years
awesome.
later.
Wow.
Uh, but yeah, moving from $100,000 a year plus to making 50, so half of your income for your family,
Hmm.
and that's fearful, right? Not knowing if you can make it. But I
Yeah,
think
and
the big fear thing is, can you make it full time? Can you make it in the real estate business full time? And so I think the combination of the financial part, as of your
yeah.
pride and your ego, and wondering, hey, can I do this? So
Mm,
that was a fearful point for me.
yeah, I guess so. And probably by that time, while you was earning six figures, you personally and as a family got used to the certain level of, having this some, lifestyle and, cutting that lifestyle in half. Well, at least from your part, like when everybody have to contract, I mean, it's no fun. Like what's going on currently in the market, a lot of people contracting, going from, again, similar situations, a lot of people going from earning six figures to zero figures. you know that's happening right now. But so what, how, again, because I think that would be very powerful what you just said. So what got you confident into the idea that you can actually go from six figures and start your own business and duplicate that, or maybe even go beyond that?
Yeah, I think it was helpful, to have the passive income from my old job. So, still having that base, that $50,000 a year base was helpful, right?
Yeah.
Um, the other thing is, like, I had some deals under my belt, so it wasn't like I had no idea what I was doing, So at that time, I had a few flips under my belt. I had a few rentals, so it wasn't like I had to learn the business. I
Mhm.
had a decent idea of how to become successful in real estate. It was just taking all that additional time. Instead of spending 40 to 50 hours a week in the credit card processing world, spend that in real estate. And
Mhm.
that's really what gave me the courage of realizing, like, dude, 40 hours a week, you get back 40 to 50 hours a week. If you go all in on this real estate game, what kind of income could you have?
For the people who are watching this and thinking like, okay, because that was 3 years ago. Was it 3 years ago or more than 3 years ago? Because it's 2020, so I don't know how is this bio been updated right now. But so 2017, you quit your credit card company, right?
Yeah, right
Yeah.
around there, yeah.
So, I mean, how did it felt for you? Because you said, listen, I have these 40 hours, 50 hours that I'm putting in this job, and I'm making like 30 plus K a month for the company where I can make same or probably even more with real estate business. So when that transition happened, what did you find easier? Because being a business owner, again, being one of those people, like it's 24/7, 365 job. I mean, like people, again, people sometimes they see the business, they think it's very sexy. They think it's, oh my God, like it's the cash, is the money, like the houses, you travel the world. Like people see this false perspective. Well, it's actually, I don't like the word grind, but it's a lot of times it feels just like that. You're just grinding things and making things work, solving a lot of problems. And it's like always, you go into bed, you wake up and you're just like moving things around and just pushing yourself in the market. But while having a job, you go in there, you do your 8, 10 hours a day, you close the doors, and that's it. You don't have to think about it. So
Yeah.
how that transition worked for you? Did you find it very difficult, or like how was that, experience for you personally?
Yeah, the transition wasn't too difficult uh, for me because I'm a self-starter. So like I'm best in the morning and I love getting out of bed. And it more just gave me more firepower, realizing that money that I was making for Heartland, now I can make that money myself. And so that idea for me of building long-term generational family wealth is what really got me excited. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, you got some people out there, but it's long hours and it's humbling, right? Like, you have those days where you're just like, everything you touch is gold and you're like, man, this is easy. I got it. And then you have another day where everything you touch is just shit, And so
Yeah.
it's the high highs and the low lows, and it's navigating, it's really navigating the emotional part of yourself,
Yeah.
of not getting too tied to the wins or too tied to the losses. And just, I think what your question was alluding to was really, and I don't know if I like the word grind either, but you do have to work hard. You
Mm,
do have to put the time in. Um, and so you can't get around that. You can't get around the hard work of running a business. And
yeah. Yeah.
and
It's
for
the
me, go ahead.
No, no, no. Please, please. Sorry for interrupting. Please.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say the humbling part of running a business, as well as exciting part, is realizing I am in control of my destiny.
That's powerful.
Um,
Yeah.
and now that makes you eat your losses though. And so,
Mm-hmm.
if you're only making 50 grand a year in real estate, that's because you are only making 50 grand a year and your gifts and your strengths aren't well suited, or maybe you have a lot of weaknesses you need to shore up. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you have to learn to eat the humble pie. But then also, which gets me more excited, is like you have an opportunity to make whatever you want to make. The only
Exactly.
thing that's stopping you is you. And so it's the humility of it, but also this exciting opportunity of uh, income being, there's no ceiling. You can make whatever you want to make.
Yeah, and all that depends again on a person that somebody becomes. And that's, again, you can invest as much as you want into yourself, again, during these times where time is actually available, so people can actually go and research some stuff. And just because now I think in these times during this, COVID, if you're watching this during these times, still going on, and this is the right time to go and invest in yourself, because Warren Buffett said that. I mean, if people like that seeing these type of quotes and you see them floating around on the internet, like, the best investment in yourself will pay the highest dividends. So, and that's the truth, like, this is going to be the best investment. Don't look at the Bitcoin, at the stock markets, and unless maybe it's real estate, and still you need to be careful which asset class you're investing in. And of course, we're going to talk about that, but invest in yourself. Take the time out of equation, like put in the time right now and learn some skills. Because everybody now running around confused, like, oh my God, I only have $400, euros, pounds in savings. And they're disappearing very quick. So, and maybe my job is not going to be around for a long time. So that's, I like what you're saying, because people need to hone, some skills, and maybe eat, like just put in the time and get valuable skills and grow themselves. Because again, what you mentioned, like building this generational wealth, which I know, like, you have 2 boys. So look, at the end of the day, the business is going to be equal to the person that you become, right?
100%, yeah.
And like, that's going to be so much when it comes to your generational wealth and teaching your boys how to do the same. Because I've been, you personally going through this journey, which is, like learning the skills, failures, and just, the grinding part, and, like becoming a better person and learning skills, and, getting uncomfortable. And that is going to be transferred in a different way than just sitting around and doing, 9 to 5 and working as a cashier and telling your kids, hey, listen, you need to become successful, you need to do that. And you're kind of telling them instead of showing. So I think in your case, it's super powerful, because again, you're going through the process, doing this thing entirely yourself. So the entire message is going to be easier to pass on, the next generation. Because, parenting is like, people like to tell, kids, oh, don't do that. But you're actually playing the game. So that's completely different. So talking about the real estate and looking at the bio again, served in the army. So have you read the Rich Dad Poor Dad while serving the army, or was that after that?
It was in the army.
In the army. And
yeah.
I know that Robert Kiyosaki served in Vietnam. He flew the helicopter as well, so he was in a war. And he said in more than a couple interviews, he said, serving in a military, that was one of the best things ever. Because I don't know, would you agree? And again, it's kind of a controversial maybe topic, and a lot of people would don't like that, and now they're going to be like, unsubscribe, dislike. Because look, the generation right now is soft. Would you agree with that? That people are soft because a lot of people, they're not serving in the military, and they're not choosing that path, and they're just playing the Call of Duty online. That's the military right now. So would you agree that people are getting too soft right now? I mean, the younger generation.
It's hard to make a blanket statement, right? But I would say that the older generation, my parents' generations, people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s are definitely harder and have more discipline and self-respect than the younger generation. But it's difficult to put a blanket statement, because I see some young
it's not
entrepreneurs
exactly
that are out there. So it's not all of them. I mean, you got a few guys out there that are killing it and a few women that are killing it.
Yep.
But yeah, it's hard to put blame on that, but yeah, for me, I would love to see, all men serve minimally 2 years in the military, because it brought me so many skills, and it brought me so many things that I would not have been able to pull out of myself. Yeah. And I'm decent with self-discipline, and I have good work ethic. And I am a self-starter, but I never would have put myself in those situations if it was just me.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when you have people that push your limits, your physical limits and your mental limits, and you become uncomfortable, you can't help but to reap the benefits of what it does for you physically, mentally, cognitively. And then realizing that, you know, you have these ceilings that you set for yourself physically and saying, I can't do anymore, I can't do anymore, but there is another level that you can do. And there is another level, and there's another level on top of that level. And the whole game is about the different levels of you realizing that these ceilings that you set for yourself, whether it's an income ceiling, whether it's a physical ceiling of what your body looks like, whether it's a relationship ceiling, that those are all fucking made up.
Yeah.
And once you blow through one ceiling, you say, well, hey, I didn't think it was possible for me to run whatever, a 6-minute mile, and I did it. And that was something that I said I could never do. Now, because I ran a 6-minute mile, can I start questioning my other beliefs?
I think you can.
Why is my income only set at 100 grand a year? Where did that number come from? You know, and it starts questioning that. So no, the military is not for everyone, but I'd love to see all men serve 2 years. And would it benefit men and make them harder, more self-disciplined, help with their physical appearance, their self-discipline, rituals? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because again, it's coming back to the same topic. Is like what's going on around you, and I mean the environment that people create around them is dependable on them. Like, look, because that's how the wealthy think. You read the Rich Dad Poor Dad. Look, we start with ourselves and we push ourselves in the market. Like we supposed to control what's going on around us instead of getting the environment to control us, that's what people do most of the time. They get all this information coming to them and they just react instead of creating noise around themselves. So it's super powerful, but I definitely think that people can get a lot of skills, by, again, look, if you're not looking to serve, like you can go to seminars, events. I mean, there's different things, but probably, going through what you've been through 8 years, serving, I'm not sure you can go, through that by reading a book or going to the seminar. But, there's different ways right now that you can build your self-confidence, discipline, and just get the right skills in line to make sure that you can achieve whatever goals you set for yourself. So talking about, you're coming back from Iraq, and you got involved into real estate. You read the Rich Dad Poor Dad. So what was the first deals that you got into after coming back from there?
Yeah, first deal was a flip deal. And, I had my uncle come to the conference with me, and, I owe him so much. He believed in me enough, which was crazy because I hadn't done a deal yet. He lives in California, and he took out a home equity line of credit of $55,000 and gave it to me.
Wow.
And said, hey, like, let's make it happen. And so, yeah, I
shout out to the uncle.
Yeah, without a doubt. When you have anyone believe in you, it's easy to believe in someone when you see the success, right? When someone's done, even if they've done 5, 6 flips, you're like, okay, you have some experience. I had no experience at all. And for him to do that, it meant a lot to me.
Yeah. Well, he probably already knew, like, you're the man of your word. You served in the military, so he already probably, because I'm sure he probably served in the military as well, right?
No.
Okay. So, but look, he probably seen some skills, and he saw that you're on point, you're disciplined, you know what you're doing, you're in place in here, your mind is in place, and he just trusted you on that, probably, because that's the discipline and the will and having all these leadership traits, whatever the military taught you. I think it's more important than having real estate skills. Because look, if you read a book and you say, oh, I know what the cap rate is, I can underwrite, I can go and call, cold call, all of that. Like, look, you can learn all of that by reading the book, by, taking the seminar and all of that. but you cannot get the, the confidence, the determination, the, the will, the, like all those things that you learn in the military. You cannot get that by reading a book. So, like, and I think that's much powerful. And again, in a business, and you probably see a lot of people who are coming back from the military, they're starting the businesses because they have the skills, you know? So these skills are more powerful than reading any book, I think. So I think he trusted you on that one. So you got into real estate. So can we talk about that? I see you have 31 units. So where's that coming from? Is that the flips that you did, or that's the multifamily part?
Yeah, so we did a few flips early on. In the first course I took wasn't that valuable for the amount of money that went into it. But there's a follow-up course, which is a little more expensive. And that course, was expensive enough that it put my back against the wall. And that was a good thing. When I had all my credit cards maxed out, now it wasn't, well, let me think about real estate, because at this point in time, I was still working for Heartland, so I had income coming in. But with all those credit cards maxed out, now it was I have to make this happen, which was good. The thing I took away from the first course was actually the second course, but same company, was this idea of the strategy of building wealth. And I really like it, and I agree with it still to this day. And that was that you flip a house to get the money, whether you make 15,000 or 30,000, you take that money, you live broke, right? And you buy a rental. You flip another house with that income, you buy another rental. And so your flips give you that cash injection that you need, that capital to basically buy a rental. And so I really love that philosophy. There's a lot of guys out there that just flip houses, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think you're going to have a job the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And there's other guys that do rentals, but most guys that do rentals, when they really start diving into it, they run out of capital very, very quickly, especially if you need 20% down on a $300,000 complex, right? That they run out of that quickly. So I enjoyed that, and I think that's been a blessing to have that in the back of my mind, in those flips basically funding the rentals. The rentals are, for me, the rentals are the game to be in. That's true freedom. And wealth for me is more about time than about money. And but you have to get to a place where you have an abundance of money where it's not as important.
Yeah.
And now my money that I'm making, I pay everyone to do everything. And I sit, as the, there's a book out there called The Magician versus the Mule. And I can sit as the magician because I have money and I have my vision. And now it's about taking that income and saying, hey, I need this property fixed, or hey, I need this fixed, I need that fixed, and I can kind of get things done, which saves me time. And so, yeah, for me, true wealth really is in the freedom and in getting your time back. And so that journey went from flipping houses, which is great when you make 15 grand, but then so what? You got 15 grand sitting in your checking account. Well, great. Well, now what?
Yeah.
And so that's where I really got into rentals. And
yeah. Again, so that's the game to play, because I'm just looking at the book, Magician versus Mule, the ultimate guide to lifestyle, wealth, and freedom. Anybody who wants to go and grab the book that you mentioned, so that's awesome. I love it. So again, like reading, so do you think like reading the books and going to the seminars, events, and just coaching, if we can, bit of the mindset type of thing, like self-development, education, so like how was that important for you personally? Because you mentioned you went to one event that didn't work out, then you went to another one, you heard about them talking about creating that wealth, so you follow that rule. And like what happened after? Like how much And if so, how consistently you're like reading and go to the events? Because right now maybe physically it's not possible. And coaching, like do you do that? And would you recommend, like what would you recommend for people to go and grab first? Is it the seminar, book, the mentoring? Like what's the option there?
Yeah, without a doubt, you know, like we talked about a few minutes ago, like you are only going to go as far as you can carry your own team and you can carry your own business. Why try to make all the mistakes? You know, if you can learn from other
Yeah.
people, do that. Learn from their mistakes. You know, in terms of the right avenue, yeah, I don't believe there's a right avenue. But definitely educate yourself. If you learn best through books, do it. Um, you know, for me, I do all of it. I just, you know, I probably spend 2 hours a day reading, listening to
Wow.
podcasts, YouTube. Like I'm really addicted to the growth of me as a person as well as my business. So I think it's really paramount to do that. The takeaway is this, is that it doesn't matter what book you read, it doesn't matter what seminar you go to. What matters is that you take something from that book, from that seminar, from that YouTube clip, and you implement it in your business.
Mm-hmm.
Without doing that, it doesn't matter how many of these things you go to, you know, but it
Yeah.
minimally take one thing and implement it. And if you do that along the way, you will see massive gains.
Yeah, well, yeah, I came across these type of people and I knew them personally. Some of those were my business partners before in a previous business. And I like these people, I hope they're watching because, you know, they need to learn the lesson because all they do is just go to the seminars and they just read the books and they brag about it too. You know, at the end of the year, it's like, oh my God, I read 50 books. I went to 15 seminars. Okay, how did your business, did it change? No, I kind of do the same. So like I don't understand, you know, I don't understand these type of people. Like,
Right,
well, look,
right.
everybody operates differently. You don't have to do all of that, you know, like read a bunch of books, go to the events, and then walk around, you know, smart but with no results. Like it's already been teaching. Like this is the process what they do in school. So like I don't think why you need to do this extra work, you know, besides what school is teaching. So do you believe, because I see like I'm just going through your feed like on Facebook and I found some very interesting stuff and I want to discuss about that. So how do you feel as and feel and think that it's important to give back to people actually, you know, in the times like these that we're currently at, just help a neighbor out, you know, because everybody, I know, you know, it's all about the social distancing. It's like we're in this, you know, like in a bubble right now. Don't touch me, don't talk with me. But do you think in the times like these, everybody should come together and just stay closer? Maybe not physically, remotely, but should, you know, like start becoming as a big community and, you know, thinking how we can solve problems collectively. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, there's never a perfect time to serve people, and it doesn't matter, you know, if you serve people with your money and if you can help people out financially, you know, or if you can be a person that your gift is a listener and you're a good listener, or if you're a person that likes to talk and you're a good communicator and you can inspire people and lift people up. But
Mm-hmm.
I think now is a great time to do that. You know, there's a lot of people that are feeling isolated and alone now more than ever before. You know, I think the introverts are fine, and I think the extroverts are probably going a little fucking crazy, where they're like, "Man, I need some social interaction now." But yeah,
I don't believe, like, I don't know. I don't believe the introvert or extrovert idea. I think it's just an idea, man. You know, I think if you put this so-called guy or girl that's labeled as an introvert, you know, because these people like something, they have hobbies, they have interests, right? So let's say their interest is music, some particular genre. And if you put these people in a place where there's computer scientists, like if you put me in that position, I will become an introvert in a second. I will be like, oh my God, like I will be in a corner. I don't know nothing about software, about, you know, like coding. Like I'm extrovert, I'm introvert in that situation. But put people who like, you know, something that other people like as well, and they will be like boom, like a flower start to bloom, you know. So like I don't know, because I think, you know, like sometimes, you know, is just my opinion. Again, I'm not right or wrong, or I don't know. You guys tell me in the comments down below how do you feel, but there's a lot of labels I think out there. Particularly, you probably came across people who coming back from war or service, you know, in a military, and they get labeled, right? Oh, you have the ADHD. Like in the States, you have all these like alphabet diseases. It's insane, you know? So I think it's all labels. Look, there's a lot of stuff going on, and we're not gonna, you know, cover like I'm not the guy who covers all the, you know, like oh my God, the government. They're like, I don't talk about the Illuminati, all those type of things. You know, like I'm not that type of person. But I just believe we as people, you know, we've been labeled a lot of times, and we have to understand. Like, look, like what you're saying. You know, talk about the limitations. Like it's a limitation. You know, so
Yeah.
like, look, why we go to school? It's a good question, right? Like you read the Rich Dad Poor Dad. He had the rich dad who was a business owner, and he had a poor dad who was a teacher. So if that says poor dad is a teacher, that should say something to you. It's like, you know, why do you want to learn from a poor people? Again, you're going to learn poor people habits. So, you know, it's just something that just to think about, you know. So talking about the real estate, because I would love to talk, you know, about that topic. Again, it's, you know, I love it. I'm not actively or passively invested in the deals yet, but it's a great topic. And I think, you know, just covering the basics of why is it important to be in real estate and this particular niche that you talked about, rental properties, maybe even more specific multifamily deals that you said you want to get involved in the future as well. Like why in particular multifamily? Because you did the wholesaling flips, rental properties, and now we want to go big into multifamily deals. So like, what would be the simple reasons for you to go in this type of deals?
Yeah, you know, I like multifamily just because it's bigger deals, and you have the opportunity to gain a lot more equity faster. So, I mean, if I buy a single family house in Wisconsin in the areas I'm investing in, maybe I can pick up 30,000, 40,000, $50,000 of equity. But if you buy a $1 million building, and if you buy that property undervalued, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you put, 100 grand into it and all of a sudden it's worth 1.5 million, like that amount of equity that you can play with now, that $400,000 of capital that your net worth has gone up, and that you can use that to build other ventures, and you can take that money out and invest it other places. So it's a faster way to build wealth, and you can really skyrocket your capital with those big buildings. If you like if you're flipping a house and you get it at, let's say you're all done and you buy it, at 50 cents on the dollar, you fix it up, you put your money into it, and you're at 75 cents on the dollar. That's great. That's a good deal, and you can make your 15 to 20 grand in my market. And so that's great. But then if you buy 100 unit at that same price point, right? And you buy that at 50 cents on the dollar, and you fix it up, and now you're at 75 cents on the dollar. Well, great. Now, you're at $750,000. It's worth $1 million. You just made $250,000 of capital. And so it's a faster way to scale your wealth. So that's why I like the idea of multifamily.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I mean, going bigger is definitely better. Like anything more in life is always better. Having more health, having more wealth, more friends, like just more is always better, right? And it just like the game is going faster instead of, buying like one house at a time. I mean, it's a strategy that works. Like I'm not the expert to tell you guys like what works, what not. But again, I spoke with enough people by doing interviews just like that. Like I'm talking with Brendan right now, and everybody who's in a multifamily game, they're coming again for the same reasons. Is because they want to grow the wealth faster. They want to they want to have more instead of writing your mortgage one house at a time. You just buy one huge apartment complex, which is 100 units, and you just sign one mortgage. So, it's faster. And like what Robert Kiyosaki talks about, like if you flip the properties, if you wholesale them, whatever you do, playing the single house game, like you're still paying the 50% capital gains on top of that, right? On top of what you're earning. So, and playing, a game when it comes to multifamily, I mean, that's where the rich people play, right? It's like you get the deferred taxes, like the tax advantages, the benefits, and going 1031 into bigger deals. And I mean, there's so many advantages. Again, I'm not an attorney, so I cannot talk about these things, but it's just awesome. It's a cool game, definitely. Okay, the COVID turned out, and like how personally and business wise did you change your goals, if you changed them, and what are you still planning to accomplish for yourself personally or from business this year?
Yeah. No, yeah, you didn't really know, so yeah, obviously I was a little bit fearful, more so with my rentals and wondering if my tenants were going to pay rent, if they were going to be laid off, and if they were going to be laid off, that they may not have the capital in order to pay rent. So
Yeah.
yeah, I went through that, but April was great. May, I'm probably at about 85% collected rent. So I got really good residents, and residents that didn't get affected that much, and some of the other ones that did get affected, they hopped on unemployment right away. So yeah, my goals. So last year was really all about rentals for me. So I rehabbed about 7 of my units. I took $100,000 of my own cash and redid these apartments and made them look beautiful. And this year I'm just gonna collect that money. And so I raised all of my rents on those units. So my cash flow is looking really good this year. And then at the end of last year, I decided that I'm not gonna flip houses anymore. And that my income, my big chunks of income, is gonna come from wholesaling. And so I really wanted to learn the wholesaling business. I took a course in January out in Florida with 40, 50 other investors, actually from Mark DM. Shout out to him. That's the book that that's the Magicians versus Mules I was just showing you.
Yeah.
The idea of wholesaling is that, hey, you can make a portion of what you would if you're flipping, but it's very quick in, quick out, and you don't have the fucking headache of rehabbing a property and dealing with a contractor and managing a flip. And so, yeah, I'm really excited. Like, I did one deal in December, a wholesale deal, one deal in January. I had 0 deals in February, 0 deals in March, and then I got 2 in April. And so, April I had a $50,000 month, and the amount of work that I put in was so minimal compared to flipping. And so, yeah, my goal is to work on my wholesaling business. I want to make $150,000, net profit in that. And then my rentals should bring in right around $250,000 a year. So that's my gross rent. That's not in my pocket. But yeah.
Still,
so
man.
I feel
Yeah, you should. Again, in the times where there's a lot of people, not in a position, to be like you are. But I wouldn't even be envy if people are listening right now and thinking, oh, Brandon, like, he's just bragging and talking about earning all these hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, look, this guy did the homework. He did the homework, and it took a long time. Like, it's been 3 years. It's been 3 years of, the word, what word is coming? Grinding, grinding and just working, continue to do that until this day. spending 2 hours a day reading and, just digesting all this information and looking how to work deals and, how to become better and how to grow your business. So it's no wonder that you're making this amount of money, man, because that's what it takes, and people want to do that. So, any negative comments, guys? Like, you need to understand, like, you cannot have a positive life with all that negative attitude. So first of all, that has to change. So,
and
so
I want to piggyback on what you said real quick, because you're
sure.
so right. And I previously, when someone told me how much money they would make, I would get jealous right away. Or I would say, hey, this fucking guy's bragging. Or I would kind of hate on him, right? And you hit it on the head, man. You yourself will not become wealthy until you appreciate other people that are making money. And if you can start celebrating people around you that are doing good, and they don't have to be millionaires, but if they just flipped a house and they made 20 grand, like, if you celebrate their wealth, you will open your door to receive the wealth as well. Because if you hate on other people for making money, you have a mental cognitive block, and you yourself will not be able to open that part of wealth abundance if you hate on people that are making money. So you're 100% right on that, brother.
Hey, look, like, I don't have to be right or wrong. You just have to go in and, like, because people do lie. I'm not saying that I'm lying, but numbers don't. So go and check the facts before you guys go and judge. If you're talking about, oh my God, like Brendan is bragging about 200K and $250,000. Like, look, government just printed $2 trillion for this COVID thing. I mean, $2 trillion. I mean, there's so much money floating around. It's unbelievable. I mean, the money is already available. It's just like, who's the smartest, who has the skills, who has a different view on things, and who's taking the action in these times. Because the money is there. The money is always there. It's just like, and that's why it's going, towards people who have the skills, the teamwork, the knowledge, the experience, and people who don't have that, they hate those people. It's like, oh, these people are, they're rich, they born rich, and all of that stupid stuff. So, that's what it is. So, people need to skill up, because again, it's the right time. You're watching this from home on a phone. You probably even have a TV on right now while you're watching this. So, because social media is super important, and there's a lot of things that you can learn on social media. Again, there's a lot of distractions and things, that we're not supposed to watch. But what do you think about social media personally? If we can talk about that in a minute. And like, are you using any of the approaches on social media? And if so, is that helping your business, personally? Like, what's your experience with social media so far?
Yeah. So I'm on Facebook. I'm actually trying to get off of it a little more. It sucks a lot of time. It's
I get that. I
extremely
get that.
addictive, man. And so, yeah, I've gotten a few deals from it, just being vocal on there and letting people know what I do. But for the time that I spend on Facebook, it's definitely not worth my time that I spend on it for what I get. I send out direct mailing campaigns. I spend about, $1,000 every month, and I've been consistent on that the last 4 months. That sends out $2,500 postcards to people, and that's really where I'm making my money. So I think you can make money on Facebook. Facebook ads are still, I think, pretty cheap. For what they will be in the next few years. And I believe each avenue can work if you stay consistent with it.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah.
And that was my struggle, was just jumping around. And so I committed to wholesaling, and I committed to my direct mailing marketing campaign. And because of that, now all of a sudden I'm seeing the consistency of the deals closing, and I know how many phone calls I'm going to get. And if I want to make more money, if I want to level up and, make $200,000, $250,000, $300,000 a year, at the end of this year, I'll have really good data. And then I can say, okay, based on my $1,000 spent, I made 200 grand this year. So if I want to make 400,000, dollars a year. Instead of spending $1,000 a month, let's just double my marketing and let's spend $2,000 a month. And so I'm excited to dive into the data, because you said it, numbers don't lie, and see, and there is a ceiling to that, like all of a sudden you'll reach that $5,000 or $7,000 a month, and you won't have that same jump because your market can only handle so many deals. But I haven't reached that yet. I don't know where my diminishing return comes in yet. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I definitely recommend, like, for people who are watching this, again, just to, because I talk with a lot of, real estate people, and, I deal with a lot of them very closely. And, it's like taking your marketing efforts and just, multiplying 10 times right now, whatever, people are doing currently, because like for you, maybe because your approach in the market is different and what you do is a little bit different. But for the people, let's say, who are in multifamily space, they're doing syndications and they're looking to raise capital for potential investments, like they have to pierce through a lot of noise. There's, this 20 plus million people unemployed just in the States, COVID, now it's killer bees, it's insane amount of, negative information most of the time coming towards people. So somebody has to pierce through that noise, and it's tough. Like before, it was tough because you're competing with a lot of people who are, trying to create that noise themselves. But now it's the big media, it's the big boys, the CNN, the Fox News, and all these people, putting on negative news like 24/7. Taking the social media approach, like in the future, would you be implementing anything, or maybe there's some softwares that you use currently in the business that helps kind of day-to-day tasks, that are super boring, but it just helps those daily tasks to, handle for you easier?
Well, two things. I don't know if social media can help me with that per se.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 100% agree with what you said. And I think the idea is that what you want to do is that you want to dive into things in your business that you love doing and that you're good at. And then the first things that you want to outsource are things that you are not good at and you don't enjoy doing. I mean, I'm a firm believer that if you do things all day long that you're not good at and you don't enjoy, you're not going to make it, period, right? But you may be good at something, right, but you don't enjoy it. Well, now you have this negative connotation with what you do every day. And I'm not saying it's bad to suck it up and do that, but the idea is to find the aspect of your business that you're like, dude, honestly, dude, a lot of days I don't feel like I'm working.
Exactly.
And I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. Like, because I'm in my gifts. Like I'm living in my gifts, I'm good at talking to tenants. Like I'm good at getting shit done. Like that's my God-given gifts. And so if you live in that and you enjoy doing it, like all of a sudden you built this business where most people would have failed or given up because they're not good at it or they don't enjoy it. So, yeah, I mean, without a doubt, there's part of that. And the other thing I wanted to circle around to that you were saying about COVID is like, there is so much fear right now.
What do you think? Should people like be scared? Like, what do you think? What's your personal opinion just on the COVID and the entire thing? Like, again, like you probably heard like the stats. Like, I don't know how they're coming up with all the stats and like mortalities and all of that. Like, but like looking to what's happened. Let's compare before. Sorry for interrupting, but let's compare to one thing that happened before in this world, which was the Hispanic flu, which killed 500 million people. 500 million people worldwide. How is that comparing like to the COVID, which is like 300,000 or whatever the number, like worldwide? Like, should people be fearful? And that's why I said, that people are just too weak right now. And sorry, maybe I'm just being too out there, too emotional towards that. But it's just people not being strong enough emotionally and maybe physically. I don't know. Maybe that's part of that. They're just, like, look, our grandparents, would you agree that in that time when the Hispanic flu was around, where 500, there's hundreds of millions of people dying, would you agree that everything maybe was still open, that the businesses were running, the shops were still running? Do you agree that could be a chance?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, look, and we have 300,000 people dying worldwide, and look, the entire world is shut down. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying, you know, and there's a lot of stuff out there, and no, there's
yeah.
something fishy going on without a doubt, and it's politics, and
Mhm.
it's power, and it's money, and
Yeah.
and that happens at the top, and people are starting to see it though, because the
Mhm.
longer this shit goes on and the numbers aren't supporting this craziness of shutting everything down, there's this growing frustration and this growing you know, every day there's thousands and thousands of more Americans and people across the world saying this doesn't make sense. And so when that happens, the truth will be revealed. And I have my own philosophies. I've watched a lot of videos on it. I'm not going to dive into it here, but no, it doesn't make sense. And
Mhm.
the bottom line with health is that like you know, the bottom line with health is like we have an immune system. And if you listen to some of the doctors out there that aren't doctors that are speaking on these large platforms, there's a few that have the courage and they're saying, listen, like, this is insanity. Like, you are making yourself weaker.
Yeah.
You have this immune system. And if you, so now we have everyone that's not getting in touch with anyone. You stay by yourself. Now your immune system is at an all-time low and it's weaker, okay? And now on top of that, we're hand sanitizing and we're washing our clothes and we're washing our hands 30 times a day and we're sanitizing everything. So now our immune system is at this all-time low. And he
Mhm.
says, listen, he goes, now when you let everyone out with a weakened immune system, because your body hasn't had to fight anything in a month, 2 months, 3 months, like
Mhm.
there's going to be some big problems. And so, yeah, you know, I think it's BS,
Yeah.
you know, and there's power, there's greed, and there's money at the root of this. I promise you that. And I hope that the wrongful people get exposed for doing this.
Yeah.
Now, listen, though, in this time, in this precedented time of fear, there's so much opportunity
Mhm.
because your competitors are scared
Yeah.
and they're retracting. And you hit it on the head. If you can expand into the marketplace right now, you know, like there is so much opportunity because when people are scared, they don't think clearly and they don't take action. And so for me personally, it's an exciting time. And we're going to see more foreclosures. We're going to see more pre-foreclosures. And so this opportunity is absolutely massive right now. And so you can sit and you can be scared. That's one option. Or you can say, what's the point? What's the point of me sitting here and getting scared? Is my life moving forward or is it moving backwards? You know, Roosevelt said the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And it's like you're
Mhm.
fearing a bad flu. You know, so get out there and make this. I mean, this could be the largest and biggest opportunity that you and your business have ever had before.
Yeah. Definitely. And there's a third option that people I think do. They just ignore stuff. It's like, oh, it's not happening. I'm just gonna ignore it. You can ignore as much as you want. And again, the health part, again, the doctors talking about the immune system, that bothers me a little bit because I know like it's gonna affect a lot of people. They're gonna go on the street, they're gonna get sick, and because the immune system is weaker. But one thing that bothers me the most, and I've talked with a lot of business owners prior to that, I said, look, it's not the COVID that scares me. It's like what's going to happen to the economy, and all these trillions of dollars who've been printed, into the economy. I mean, eventually what happens. You read the books. You read enough books to understand what's going to happen. I mean, when the hyperinflation is going to struck us, we will be like when the dollar value, when the euro value, like when the currency value is going to plummet, then it's going to be, I'm saying like if, like who knows, I'm not the economist and I'm not the person to talk about, but there's information available. And that's what happens if people just study what happened in Germany in Weimar Republic, where basically people used to go and buy bread, with these, like backpacks full of money. And I know like my friend, yeah, it was insane. Like I remember My friend's father, when I was going to school, he brought a lot of cash. Like he used to bring back all these bags of Deutschmarks, you know, because they took the currency off. And like they brought these Deutschmarks. They used to put it like in a fireplace to keep the fire going. So you know, it's insane. Like, so that's what's gonna hurt the most the people, because you know, like, you know, people are, like emotional stability. I think that's what's missing right now. You know, because people are weak emotionally, you know. And how do you get strong? Like, first of all, you follow the right people, you don't consume the negative information, you get, you know, you get your head in place, and you go and study, and you go and get the right skills. Because look, you need to control what's going on around you first of all, because you cannot control what's going on out there. You know, the players are just too big for us to say, oh no, like, and nobody's going to do anything collectively. You know, you can see people like on Facebook, you know, it's like 20 people, you know, marching around with, you know, with the signs, oh, you know, we're going to expose these people, and it's going on for 2 hours, and that's it. They're gone after, you know, everybody's like, oh, it's not going to work. So like nothing is going to happen, because, you know, it has to be millions of people have to turn around and say like, whoa, like what's happening? But everybody's just posting stuff online on social media and discussing on this type of level. So, you know, like people have to take, you know, this personally and say like, listen, what you just said, like it's the right time for me to do something. Because, you know, like Robert Kiyosaki and all these people were talking about the biggest shift, you know, in the world.
Yeah.
When it's, you know, the wealth cycle transfer. Yeah. So this is the time. Are you going to wait it out? You're going to wait it out, and you're going to still wait because you get those people. Again, we talked about those. And I hope these guys are watching, because I spoke about the partners who are going to study and just keep studying and just wait it out. And, oh, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. I'm just going to wait. Or you're going to take action, because, you know, 20 years, 30 years after, what you're going to tell to your kids, what you're going to tell to your grandkids. Are you going to tell them, oh, I was waiting, but I just missed the opportunity? Or you were like, listen, that's how we got rich. You know, so take the advantage, guys. Take the advantage. Put some action, because that's what Brendan is doing. So don't take my advice. Take his advice. You know, he's doing this stuff. So it's awesome, man. I really appreciate, you know, the time, the effort, again, the knowledge. I still can feel you have so much to give, and there's so much information that you can provide for people. And I would love for people to go and reach out to you to have more meaningful discussions, rather than, you know, leaving comments, you know, on YouTube, you know, comment section. So what will be those social media platforms for them to go and reach out to you and just have those good chats?
Yeah, you know, Facebook is probably the number one, and I'll see what happens here. You know, I'm really close to 5,000 friends, and I have a business one, but I just rarely use it. So we'll see if I make that transition to my business. But yeah, you can hit me up on there. Otherwise, yeah, that's probably the best way. And then if we start a conversation, we start a conversation. I'd love to do that.
And do it quick before he reaches 5,000, because then you won't be able to add him as a friend.
Yeah.
So yeah, so really thank you, Brendan, today for your time. Again, you know, insightful, a lot of great knowledge, experience. I mean, you know, you went from serving military, you know, honing some really valuable skills. I'm talking about the life-changing skills, which helped you, you know, be in this position. Of course, along the way, you got some great people, like, you know, again, shout out to your uncle, that helped you along the way, you know, to transition into that and maybe install the belief in you that you can do things. So it is awesome, man. You're doing great stuff, and you know, you're looking to make even more during these times, you know, and help a lot of people, you know, along the way. So it's awesome. I really appreciate the time, Brendan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you as well, brother. I appreciate you.
So guys, you know what to do. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Of course, go and check it out, Brendan's Facebook. Go and reach out to him before he reaches 5K, and make sure that you know, ask a bunch of questions. Maybe you want to get involved into real estate, have those type of talks, because he's definitely one of those people they didn't want to reach out and talk with. So again, until the next episode, I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you next time. Thank you, guys.